tonight we are going to be talking about the film The Way Back, starring Ben Affleck and directed by Gavin O'Connor. It is basically a movie about redemption and basketball. Ben Affleck plays a former high school star, alcoholic, going through a rough time, gets coached into basically coaching his former high school team. So, as I said, I mean, it's basically a story of redemption. I'm going to start out by saying this. I am a huge fan of Gavin O'Connor as a director. I've loved every movie that he's done. My favorite is Warrior with Joel Edgerton and Tom Hardy. He also directed the Disney movie about the 1980 U.S. hockey team beating the Russians called Miracle, and he did The Accountant starring Ben Affleck. He's got a good track record with movies, especially two really good sports movies. This one, I am not going to say that it's a terrible movie. It just isn't up to par with what he's done in the past. And yes, I'm going to go ahead and flat out say that. The trailer made me think the movie was going to be fantastic, and I feel kind of let down by that.
Well, I was curious to know what some of the other critics were thinking as we were walking out, sort of getting their instant reaction. And one guy said, "Oh, it's excellent." The other guy was just kind of like, nothing to say. It's like, okay, so it's going to be kind of a mixed response, maybe.
Right.
And we're kind of divided on this one as well. And
as usual, I don't think my grade's going to be as low as yours, because I'm not that harsh. But I do feel kind of disappointed that, I walked into this film thinking it's going to be just as good as Warrior, and I'm going to have that same feeling, and I'm going to be teary-eyed at the end. It didn't really happen that way. I'm not saying that I didn't enjoy the film. I did. But if you're looking, there are two ways of looking at this film. If you're looking at it as a basketball film, it really isn't. And there are tons of basketball movies that are way better. Like your favorite, you were talking about Blue Chips before we started this episode.
Yeah, we've got to make a reference to 1994, right?
Right, exactly.
It is being sort of categorized as a sports drama, so I think in the minds of most people going in, they are expecting this to be something of a sports film, but I think it is more drama than sports.
Yeah. My favorite basketball movie about a down on his luck coach who gets a shot at redemption at coaching is always going to be Sam Rockwell in The Winning Season, where he has to coach the girls' basketball team. It's absolutely hysterical. Sam Rockwell is great as usual.
He's always good for showing that charisma.
Right.
And they always give him the opportunity to do that.
Right.
I don't know how much Ben Affleck was involved in the producing side because he's a big producer in a lot of the movies he does.
Right.
But it seemed like he was really, really holding back a lot in this movie. And there were emotional moments, but even in those emotional moments, it wasn't really grabbing me. You're seeing reactions, but it just didn't
It feels kind of like a Lifetime movie where we expect it, we know what's going on, we're not really surprised to know that. And I agree. I didn't feel the emotion as much as I did watching the trailer. And here's the first thing that I really noticed. It's the use of music and when they use the score. Like, when he's really giving that big speech about the kids on the bench about no team of mine is not going to be tough enough, there's no music. And you don't really feel the weight of that. You laugh at what he's saying, but there's no weight to that conversation.
I'm glad you brought up music because I did make one small note. I do have an uncle who's a film composer, so I do think about this a little bit. The music didn't work. It felt like it was wrong throughout most of the movie. There was no source music. It was all original music. That's fine, but to me, that didn't quite give you the right emotion.
And you know what?
The right
I absolutely agree with you on that. I think their choice of music, there were some really nice moments where it felt good and all that, but it's almost like they took music that was meant for another movie to put in this one. But if you really look at his other sports movies like Warrior and Miracle, the music is spot on and works.
Yeah, I'm having trouble remembering the exact name of the composer. I think it was John Debney who did Miracle. And
Right.
He's done plenty of other Disney films, sports-related Disney films.
Well, there's another irony in talking about the music. I'm always about fun facts. I love reading the trivia on movies, and one of the things about how Warrior got made is the song by the National at the end called "Not Today" during the last round of the fight. When the brothers are kind of making up, and it's very emotional. That entire movie, the screenplay was written by Gavin O'Connor and his writing partner, but them playing that song over and over. That was basically, that song summed up that movie, and it was so perfect. There's nothing in this movie that does that. But if you go and look at the trailer, because I was thinking about it today going into the movie, it's a song called Heavenly Father by Bon Iver, which the first trailer they released 3 months ago was perfect. It's this kind of gospel, acoustic type of song that really shows about redemption. And you don't hear it in this movie, and you don't get that same feeling. So that's another thing that really disappoints me about this.
Yeah, that's one thing you have to watch out for with trailers, that there's a certain way that they want to present the film.
Right,
It could be very different from what the film actually is.
Right, it's always a little misleading. But here's the thing. I like the story in itself, and I don't think Ben Affleck was terrible, but I want to touch on this, what you said about holding back. I kind of look at this movie as an autobiographical movie of Ben Affleck and what he's had to deal with in real life, and getting sober and getting divorced from Jennifer Gardner and having regret and finding the way back. I'm wondering if there were a lot of really biographical type moments that show really that emotion, that the editor just didn't choose those particular scenes.
Well, and if he was pulling from something in real life, and maybe there were different takes, different edits, or maybe he was playing more to real life, and so it wasn't captured on film because it was more like real life.
Right.
And one of the people I spoke to after the movie mentioned that it's a gritty film, it's a dark film, and a film more true to life. That's kind of the way films have gone over the last 10 or 15 years or so, however many years it's been. And we've seen Ben Affleck do so many different movies over the years. He can be charismatic. Chasing Amy, great example for me. And it just wasn't there in this movie. And, I have to say something else. The movie could have ended much earlier than it did. And I felt like this sort of tacked something on there because, maybe they felt like the movie was too unbalanced and there wasn't enough context. That's what I was thinking.
Right.
As it kind of dimmed out, I thought, well, there's the end of it. Oh, it's not the end. They're adding more story to the movie.
Right.
It almost felt like they tacked that on
Right.
for the reason
that
wasn't
one
enough
little
context
moment
to the
where
story.
they hit the game-winning shot in the game, and in just slow motion, he walks off the court with a big smile. You're right. That could be
That's
the
a
perfect
sports
ending.
moment. That
Right.
feels like the end of a sports film.
Right, but I think that's their way of choosing that this really isn't a sports film, that the sports aspect it's secondary to him finding his way back. Now, but then again, if you're talking about cinematography and that great little moment, it's about him and his redemption of learning how to pick a basketball back up, because the movie literally ends with him going to a park and shooting hoops, which
and he doesn't make every shot either. And I think
Right.
there's something symbolic in that.
Right.
Where it's just roll, and whatever I make, whatever I miss, I
Right.
miss. That's fine. I have no issue with that. And a movie doesn't have to be a sports film per se if it's done the right way. $1 Million Baby, boxing movie, but it's more about the characters than it is about the boxing.
I agree
great
with
film.
that.
So
you know what? I would almost kind of say the same thing about Cinderella Man. That it really is the quest of these characters and their redemption stories during the Great Depression. And I think that's also what makes great boxing stories. And of course, we're always going to use boxing movies as a metaphor because we're such huge fans. Hence why I started a boxing series in my writing career. But I don't know. I think this is an okay movie. I'm not saying that people shouldn't go see it, but I do feel very let down by the trailer, and that I feel like I don't want to blame Gavin O'Connor because I love everything that he's done. And I was completely surprised by how good The Accountant was as a But I'm wondering if the editor made choices that were wrong for this movie, that didn't understand the gravitas, or had some little things here and there that were great, like the symbolic scene at the end, but missed out what the emotion really should be. And there's another reason I bring that up. Another really fun fact about movies, Apocalypse Now, which is 40 years old. And we'll give a shout out.
We have a connection to that movie.
Right, and we'll give a shout out to Amanda Milius for griping during the Oscars about her father's film. And
that may have been the best reaction to
right,
the
about the
Oscars
Oscar
I've ever had.
yes.
Yes.
But in the beginning of that movie, when Martin Sheen's character, basically is going through this weird state of mind in the hotel and he cuts himself and all that, Martin Sheen has said in numerous interviews that his father had just passed away, and them shooting that scene was his way of really grappling with it. That is all his pure raw emotion of dealing with his father's death coming forth in that scene. And I think knowing that about the movie makes that scene so iconic. I'm wondering if Ben Affleck might have had some scenes similar to that in this movie that weren't chosen for the final cut. And that's what disappoints me, because I think there's raw emotion and he's good in it. But you almost feel like this is that take before the really great take. And maybe this is the cut before the really great final cut that you should have had for this film to make the movie better. So, but things I do like. I love how he talked to the kids as a basketball coach. I thought he was
A little bit of Bad News Bears vibe from time to time.
I thought he was spot on with that. I thought he was hilarious. Cursing, and then the father's reaction.
Yeah, the parish, whatever they call them. Yeah, that was.
Right.
I don't have as much experience with Catholicism, so
right. But the priest's
you probably
reaction
know a
is
little bit more about that than I do. But.
Right. Yeah, all the great names of the schools.
Well, I thought it was funny that there was one that was called St. John Baptist. Like, why is it St. John if it's a Baptist school? But okay.
The Catholics recognize that he's not John the Baptist. That's how we do things.
Oh, that's right. Maybe it's not a Baptist school. I just got excited because I'm from a Baptist upbringing.
Well, there you go. No, this is very much a Catholic upbringing. But then again, them all celebrating and the priest hugging him and stuff. I love the basketball games. I thought those scenes were very good.
And basketball is very difficult to choreograph for a movie.
Right.
That is extremely difficult.
But the scene that really makes it, besides that game-winning shot scene that where the film could have ended on, was really him punishing the kid for dating 3 different women, and they get to decide when he stops. We respect the team speech.
Sort of a moment for the guys who are dragging their girlfriends to the movie to give them a chance to cheer and enjoy that moment, maybe.
Right,
just
right.
Perhaps.
But no, I mean, like I said, I don't think this is an absolute bad film. I think it's an okay film. Okay? So for me personally, I'm going to give it a 7. Okay, and maybe that's a little generous because I do want to watch this movie again. There's a lot of things I like about it, but I also feel let down. Now you, on the other hand.
Well, there was a time a couple of years ago where I was watching a screener at home, and the movie made me so angry, and I disliked it so much. I was like, I'm giving this a 3 out of 10. I'm so pissed off at this thing. And you were like, whoa. Like, all right. I just need to calm down. It's like, so. I've learned a little bit about restraint, not letting your emotions get involved. Like, I was getting a little bit frustrated at the end when they tagged on that last 20 minutes or whatever it was. Like, this movie should be over by now. But
you missed the way to end the movie.
But no, I can't give it I can't give it a positive grade. So I'm giving it a 5 out of 10 officially.
So you're giving it average. It's an average grade.
Depending on
Well, five on
how you rate.
our chart
Yeah.
is average. It's an average movie.
And I think that's fair because there are parts where I thought, oh right, yeah, where you're kind of rooting for the team and you're kind of having a connection.
Right.
There weren't enough connections for me. To me, it just didn't quite even out.
And
it was a little unbalanced, and I think I have to say again, I think those last 20 minutes they just tacked on there for context because we just didn't know what was going on with the family and everything else.
You know what it is, and because we're huge James Bond fans, we always love to have James Bond references. So I'm going to make one.
All right.
You know how I feel about Quantum of Solace. I actually like the movie, but it's also a 90-minute epilogue to Casino Royale. That's all it is. It's too long of an epilogue of extending the ending of Casino Royale than being a movie on its own. That's what the last 20 minutes of this film is. It's a very long epilogue to where the film should have ended.
And that may have been the best for Ben Affleck and his acting and the performance. That was really his best performance was in that last part of the film. So that's one upside to that, but to me it just wasn't really enough to warrant having that in there.
No. You know, it's hard to get films that where like everything works from beginning to end and pacing. And
pacing has become an obsession where everything has to be bam, 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 bam.
Well, but it also depends on what kind of movie you're making.
Sure.
You know, you can make a movie that's kind of choppy if you're doing like an action movie. You're going from one great action scene to the other. But I'm going to use Ben Affleck as an example as someone who still stars in films and directs films. You know, we did a podcast years ago talking about Ben Affleck, the director versus the actor. He was a B- actor at best, the way we rated him, but he's an A+ director with the films that he's done, or at least A-. And Gone Baby Gone, great movie that he directed, but we can't really count that because he wasn't in it. The Town is the film that I think encompasses everything about Ben Affleck as a filmmaker. He directed it, he starred in it. That film worked on so many levels, not only as a true testament to Charleston, you know, and you know how our buddy Brendan loves to go off when they get things wrong about Boston. Even he's like, that's a good movie. So we know it's good. If Brendan's
I'm
like
not
that.
going to challenge this, okay?
No, I don't.
I just don't feel like it tonight.
You don't feel like, oh, you don't want to challenge The Town as a movie?
It came a little too late, I think. I would say, but
well,
we'll all have different opinions.
My opinion, my point is, we give Ben Affleck a bad rap at times of being kind of a shitty actor versus having these really wonderful roles in certain movies like Chasing Amy.
Sure.
But also he's directed certain, you know, some good movies here and there and done well in them. Is he Robert Redford or Paul Newman or you know somebody that we really respect that always seems to make really great movies? No. But I applaud the effort of him, especially working with Gavin O'Connor, in doing these movies that are emotional. Even if the final cut doesn't work, of putting yourself out there. And I think that's another reason that I'm not going to go as low in the grade as you are.
Well, that would be a breach in our tradition anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. If I go lower in the grade, I think there's only one thing.
I don't know. Yeah, it's probably happened, but
I think the Joker was the only thing that we kind of seriously disagree. You rate the Joker a little bit better than I do, just because
I didn't have an official review on that, but
well, I know, but
amongst friends, yes.
Yeah. So in looking at this movie, I mean, the basketball scenes are very good. It's a lot of fun, and I thought the choreography was good. How about you?
That's basketball it's not like with football or baseball where there's enough downtime in the sport where you can really hash it out. Basketball and hockey, these are free-flowing sports that are very difficult to choreograph.
Right.
I mean, you see it in Hoosiers where continuity is almost impossible, where you're looking at one scene, you see the scoreboard, you look at another scene, the scoreboard, it doesn't match up. That's hard to do, and they did a pretty good job with that.
Right.
They're going to blur it out so you don't see what the score is because they had to put different scenes out of different places.
Right.
Editing's come a long way for sports films, in particular with basketball.
But we always when we talk about basketball movies, I mean our pantheon of basketball movies is always going to be Hoosiers.
And of course, another point being, it doesn't matter that they got some of that out of order. It doesn't matter. Nobody cares that the score says 50 to 28, and then later it says 42 to 18.
Right.
It's supposed to be later in the game. It doesn't matter.
No.
So it's secondary.
Here's another thing to also point out is, we've dropped some interesting basketball movies, but we also haven't mentioned Coach Carter, which is a good movie. But it's a good movie by the gravitas of Samuel L. Jackson. And we both know that Ben Affleck doesn't have the gravitas of Samuel L. Jackson in a movie.
He's capable of showing more emotion.
Right.
I just feel like it was a little uneven, and he was really having to restrain himself. That's how it looked to me in this movie.
Yeah. Like I said, I blame editing more than anything else. I think there's a lot of takes out there that are probably better than they should have.
And maybe on the Blu-ray we'll see an alternate.
Or maybe there's deleted scenes that really help tie things up, and it happens all the time.
And they can explain why it was cut out, and maybe it'll make sense.
And you know me about deleted scenes. I complained about Creed 2, which is one of our favorite movies, a great movie. But the deleted scene is when, Drago's son and Creed are talking in the locker room that we're more than just one fight. And then that nod by Drago and Rocky that, okay, everything is settled now, we can go on with our lives. I'm like, why was that scene not in the movie? That's such a great scene.
Probably for pacing.
Well, they're still idiots.
This is a movie that had context, the benefit of having a previous film that everybody loves. So this movie doesn't have that. So that's maybe not a fair point to this one. It's one of those things where you can let that go.
There's a lot to nitpick about this movie. Okay. And we tend to do that a lot.
We're critics, so.
Right, exactly. But here's the thing. If I were to recommend going to see it in the theater, just pay for a matinee. That's all I would say. It's that good. But you would not be wasting your $2 at Redbox if you want to wait that long to see this movie. It's worth that amount of money because we do put we put a value on movies of what we're willing to shell out our money for, with popcorn and everything else. There's a value to it. I wouldn't spend that much money on this movie, and that kind of disappoints me because, again, I love Gavin O'Connor as a director. Like, I was so blown away by how good the accountant really was, completely surprised by how good it was. Not that it was a great movie, but that I didn't expect much out of it, or Ben Affleck, and I was like, wow, I'm going to actually watch this movie again. And Anna Kendrick, who I have a little crush on, and I'm not afraid to say that.
I watched Scott Pilgrim last night.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. But yeah, it's not, don't spend that much money on this movie. I mean, you can still enjoy it. But this isn't an IMAX movie or anything like that. That's how I feel about it. Or or wait till you rent it. And you're just like,
I'm done with it. I don't need to see it again.
Really good one-timer for you. My best friend that I grew up with is always like, yeah, it's a one-timer. I'll never watch it again. I'll just, So, but again, for Gavin O'Connor, you're not going to make every movie perfect, but keep making more movies. I would still say this about him as a director. You've never made a bad movie, an absolute terrible movie that I would, just never watch again, or should never be acknowledged. I don't think this is as good as your previous work, but I still want to see what you do in the future.
I love Miracle, so and that maybe it's easier because they had a real story to go off of, but making movies that are based on making movies based on true stories is a fine art just as much as making a movie based not on a true story, and that one was really well done. So, but that movie grabs you emotionally. This one didn't for me. And I think that's the problem.
It does for me on...
People equate sports with emotion. They really do. And
you know what? That's a good point. And that's why we do talk about sports movies and the emotion that we feel when we watch them. It's like, with baseball season coming around the corner, it's like Field of Dreams. If you ever played catch with your father or your stepdad or anything like that, or your grandfather, that movie's emotional for you. Okay? I mean, it just is. The same reason that if you like little sports traditions and, I can't think of the word right now, and I apologize. Or superstitions and stuff, Bull Durham works on all levels. But again, I mean, basketball movies, Blue Chips works on all levels about how college really is and about losing your soul, redeeming your soul at the end. What makes a great basketball coach. And to me, it's one of Nick Nolte's better roles versus Hoosiers, which you just feel inspired by anyway.
So here's one that's based on a true story, and obviously they took liberty, as every movie does, but there isn't a single person, whether you like basketball or whether you're from Indiana. Even Larry Bird said they got that movie right.
Yeah.
And this is a guy who never says anything about anything. So.
Right. But that's the pantheon of movies where, I mean, if you don't like that movie and complain about it, you probably have no soul.
Like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Right. You don't at least have an appreciation. Well, like I said, we differ in grades, but this movie is not rated very high. It is what it is when it comes to movies. So you've heard our thoughts. I give it a 7. You give it
5.
Okay. Continuing our tradition, we never agree on movies. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't check it out. From an acting standpoint, I think there's a lot of great scenes with Ben Affleck compared to a lot of other movies that he's done where we just give him shit for being a bad actor. So, like Pearl Harbor or Paycheck.
Don't forget who directed Pearl Harbor. So
I know, but but hey, Ben Affleck can't beat Ben Affleck in Chasing Amy every time. So there you have it, everybody. 7, a 5. We meet in the middle. It's a 6 on an average grade. And that's how the way back comes down for us.
Tonight I'm drinking a Kilt Lifter. It seemed appropriate because I'm letting the air out tonight.
Well, our good buddy Sean here at Trinity Hall, Irish Pub, where we're shooting our latest episode, talked me into the Dragon's Milk Imperial Stout. And I am definitely feeling it at the end of this review. So before I say a few things that might get me in trouble, we're going to go ahead and end this episode. But one thing that we want to do, that we're going to be talking about, is if you are a nerd, you need to have your Nerd Power bracelet. I know it's hard to see here, but there's a power among nerds. We will be selling these for a few bucks on our website, and of course you can donate to our Patreon account and get one every month. But wear your Nerd Power bracelet. It's the power of a nerd who can change the world for the better. So this has been another episode of Drinking Reviews. Thank you for checking it out. Until the next time, goodbye. All right. Jesus.
We had a lot to say.
Hello there, fellow nerds. I'm Marcus Blakeman, producer of That Nerd Show, and we need your help. That's right, we need your support.
Oh, yeah.
Like any news outlet, we're relying on advertising and donations to keep the lights on. To be the greatest show in this universe, we need funding. That's what we do. Like our other shows out there, we actually have
All right. Hey, thank you very much for. All right.
So what we
You say it's going to have to be edited?
No. We're not editing anything. This is unfiltered.
Yeah. That's what people want to see.
You got your phone back? Okay.
Yeah, I got it.
all of our other but to keep us going, we need a little bit of funding. And again, that's where you come in. So it can be as little as $1. $1 makes all the difference in the world. And you can do anywhere from $1 to $3 to $5, all the way up to $500. And we're going to be giving stuff away for your donations. So you could get some Nerd Power wristbands or any other wristbands from our series of wristbands that we're creating for nerds. You can get cool retro gaming t-shirts from our Nerd Swag shop if you make a donation of $20 or more. You can even get advertising on our website or within our videos if you make a purchase or donate $50 or more dollars. We have different tiers, like most artists. Want that new video game that's coming out this year? You want to be playing the same video game we are as we're reviewing it? Hey, you can do that with a $100 donation. Are you looking to get a new console before the year is out? Hey, $500 and you can get an Xbox One, a PlayStation 4, or even a Nintendo Switch. It just takes a little bit to help us. As little as $1 per video that we do. And we're going to have a variety of videos that you can help support. So if you like our content, if you like everything that we do as nerds, from honest conversations about pop culture to great celebrity interviews to wacky and fun gaming videos, then help support us on our Patreon account. You can check us out at patreon.com/thatnerdshow. You can check us out at patreon.com/that. Go to patreon.com/thatnerdshow and make your donation today. Even if it's just $1, we would greatly appreciate it. Thank you and stay nerdy.